Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is market historian Bob Hoye. He's the chief investment strategist for chartsandmarkets.com. Best of the season, Bob.
Yeah, here we are. Friday, which we always like to get together on, and today's Friday being Christmas Eve, so a special day.
Well, Thursday filling in for Friday.
Oh, that's right, it is Thursday. Well, I'm so glad you've you told me that. I had to look at the top of the computer to see that it was Thursday.
Who's got into the Christmas port a little early?
Yes.
Bob, we usually have a long list of questions from our loyal listeners, and but the questions that we have today are from you and me, probably our questionable gifts to each other. My question is, how real is the Santa Claus rally? Does it happen a lot, and does it deserve the name?
Well, it's sort of, actually, the December-January period, if the markets are clocking a very strong speculative phenomenon, then you can have a peak in the December-January window. And that's sort of beyond the Santa Claus rally. But yeah, my recollection on it is sort of like you could say, if the market is up at this time of year, you can call it a Santa Claus rally. If it's not up at this time of year, you can say the Santa Claus rally isn't working. It's sort of like the opposite in the summertime, where the financial newspapers will always write a rally will be described as a typical summer rally. And if there is no rally, then it's typical summer doldrums. So in that case, every summer is typical, isn't it? So, but to go back to the first point, Jim, is that this indeed is a very speculative market. And our technical indicators are getting extended. And this is what I like about when you've got some financial history. And certainly since October, we've been looking for a rally. Things got oversold. And then you look for a natural high. And the natural high would have the action becoming highly speculative on some or many different sectors in the market. Like in 2017, it was the incredible speculation in Bitcoin. Absolutely incredible. I know on December 17th, we got a sequential sell on the action, and that signal hadn't been given for a couple of years, and then the Bitcoin crashed, and then the stock market sold off about from the middle of January. But just to review some of the examples of spectacular action concluding in this time window, of course, you had the Tokyo Nikkei stock bubble, which was a bit unique because not too much outside of exchanges outside of Tokyo weren't really doing the boom thing. So it was a unique Tokyo bubble, and the Nikkei peaked on the last trading day of December 1989. And then another big one that I was around for was the incredible speculation in gold and silver that topped January 21st of 1980. And that, of course, was an incredible promotion. I mean, when you were there, it was the Hunt brothers, the big oil wealthy guys, and they got onto silver, and they were convinced that the gold-silver ratio had to go down to 15. I think it went down to 16. And it was a remarkable speculation focused on silver. And, of course, it blew out and was followed by a lengthy bear market. Now, there was one I found a little while ago, a turn-of-the-year peak for the stock market in 1893. December. Couldn't get the date. And then 1907 was another one. That was in January. Then, a big one was in 1973, January the 11th, 1973. For the stock market, and the bear market that went on until December 74, it was the worst one since the 1930s. So when you have a historical model like this that says you could have a natural peak in the December-January window, so the next step is you then look and see if it is speculative out there. So you get our little list of questions. Is the stock market up when it should be? Yep. Are there signs of speculation? Yeah, we're getting that on our special technical analysis. And then, how sound is the story behind the move? Well, God, there's nothing sound out there at all. It's U.S. is within an incredible political and constitutional crisis. The passions are very high. You've got serious problems facing there, and on top of that, the valuations on the stock market, because everybody's been bullish for so long, the valuations are huge. So let's put it this way, the stock market, and of course you've had a tremendous rally with low-grade bonds with this as well. That's at risk. And you've had a terrific rally for lumber because of this business of people leaving the dismal downtown cores of big cities and going to the exurbs, or whatever they call them these days. So they're fixing up or building houses. You've had a terrific rally for copper because they need new pipes for that. So, but at the same time, you've got this political hysteria that has forced incredible unemployment numbers. So if you look on one side, things are booming. Base metals, lumber, stocks, junk bonds. On the other side, people are suffering horrendous unemployment. So somewhere all of the mismatches in here will resolve.
Bitcoin mania, is this like the tulips? Will it go away, or is it going to stick around?
Tulips really was ephemeral. I mean, it was a crazy speculation on certain bulbs were considered to be more important than others. 1637 in Holland, which was the financial and commercial center of the world, there were responsible clearing mechanisms for the financial markets, and the financial authorities did warn speculators about that one, that they are in no way could they guarantee trades or proper clearing or anything like that. And so the markets were chalkboards at taverns, and when it broke, it was a financial disaster for a while. And this is what happens when any great speculation breaks. It can be a financial disaster. But, you know, this winter period, I got a feeling, I'd have to double check, that I think that speculation might have gone into December or January. But I do know that on some manias, like in the late 1700s, the New Deal were canals, and the way the markets worked then is that the organizers of the company had to be located in the town or the city where the proposed canal would start. And there wasn't a broker, say in London or in a bigger city, that was arranging for the underwriting, so investors had to go to the company's offices to get on the books, and it became a crazy new issue market, and it was winter. So then you had hot speculators, either in coach or on horse, dashing through the night in the wintertime to get to the next town to get on the books of the next hot issue of a canal stock. Now there was, and of course, when you get these sort of speculations, it's all airy-fairy out there, because there were no canals. The company would get the right-of-way to build a canal from point A to point B. And so they were speculating in unreal things. But the key thing is it was winter and they were dashing through the night, crazed to get new issues. There was another one. It didn't have notes about whether people were dashing through the night, but there was the next craze was within a big bull market that it peaked in London, peaked in 1825. And with that one, the new hot stocks were railroad stocks. And all kinds of promoters would get the right-of-way, and then that formed their company against the right-of-way, and then they became speculative darlings. But that one was also unreal, because the first commercial railroad didn't begin operations until 1830. That's a steam-driven, locomotive and all that sort of stuff. So it's another example of where when it's fun when it's on, that crazed speculators can be buying things that are unreal. So then, to get back to your question about Bitcoin, Jim, is that perhaps a few years ago in 2017, the operations of Bitcoin may have been a little unreal, and you may have been speculating in something that was unreal. But my view on it is that it could become real where somebody figures out how to make a Bitcoin that is more or less constant in price, and in which case you then have a currency that the government cannot debase or depreciate or just generally screw up. And somehow I think that the technical side can eventually be done. And then with this political development where people want to reform outrageously expensive and intrusive government, it's been currency depreciation that helps fund the experiment in unlimited government. And of course, this is what the Fed or the Bank of Canada has been doing, has been trying to provide unlimited funding for another experiment in unlimited government. So the only way to stop that is to go back to a gold convertibility. But then you still have the problem of a national currency and a national central bank, and they will always, they might have a moment of honor, but they will always eventually end up cheating. So the world needs a currency that governments cannot depreciate arbitrarily, and I think it'll come through this Bitcoin phenomenon and blockchaining and all that sort of stuff. But how it's done, I don't know. I'm not an expert in it. But what will happen is a currency of relatively constant value with huge liquidity. And that would be a blessing for all people.
We'll have more with Bob Hoye right after this.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Value from success. Growth in discovery. Golden Arrow Resources is a well-funded gold-copper exploration company with proven management and prospective properties in Chile, Argentina, and Paraguay. Golden Arrow trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, symbol GRG, on Frankfurt, symbol G6A, and the OTCQB, symbol GARWF. For more information, visit us at goldenarrowresources.com or call Sean at 778-686-0135.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Bob Hoye. Bob, some headlines that caught your attention. The first one, commercial real estate pandemic pain just beginning. What's the story there? Yeah,
well, in a period of financial inflation in financial assets, like the stock and bond boom, property, both particularly residential, go up, and also commercial property goes up. But then you've had this extraordinary political event whereby in Democrat towns or cities, the radical left was allowed to destroy cities. Bad enough. And then you had to come along with the Wuhan flu, and in a panic, civic authorities shut down businesses and trade, and mainly in small businesses. And certainly we all know that in Canada and the U.S. that 70% of employment is through small businesses. So now, when you've got then empty space as people are leaving New York or downtown San Francisco, the rents are falling and the price of real estate is falling, and not a good sign.
Another headline here. Wall Street this Christmas is partying like 1999. Well, we all remember what happened in 2000. The dot-com bubble burst. Oh, speaking of bubbles, Jim, I remember a headline from that mania. That was the dot-com bubble, and man, the public was in, everybody's making, the brokers were making huge money, and in Manhattan, you were there, and you could just go down to a corner wine outlet and pick yourself up a $1,000 bottle of champagne for the evening, just like that. And then the actual peak in the NASDAQ was in March of 2000. And then the market corrected and had another rally going into September. And then the whole thing rolled over and went into a severe hit in the financial markets. So the thing is with these headlines is that they are describing just how wonderfully speculative the action is. We'll have more with Bob Hoye right after this.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications, patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Bob Hoye. Bob, another headline, flash surge in world's biggest ETFs. What's that linked to?
Well, this is what it was about. They said that the headline included that it was outlandish trades going on. So, I mean, the world's biggest stock ETF, I mean, that's got to be huge market cap. But all of a sudden there was some action going on where they spiked it straight up and who knows whatever. But so somebody was operating, and hopefully they made a good trade out of it. But those that might have bought the spike are probably suffering a little. So again, an example of a speculative market.
IPO craze sweeps the markets, sucking in over $400 billion. What's going on there?
That's another big one. Huge. $435 billion in new issues being done for the year, and the previous high. Now this is $435 billion. The previous high was $279 billion in 2014. You're talking big numbers. And I can remember a very important big number when I came into the business in the mid-1960s. And that was a deal done in the 1950s when Howard Hughes sold his holding in, was it TWA, Trans World Airlines. And the buyer did a $400 million bond issue to enable the transaction. And that $400 million bond issue was startling, and it remained the biggest trade for a decade or so. And now you're looking at, doing $435 billion in a new issue market. The numbers are staggering. And then, of course, you got valuations on, people this budget in the U.S. is in the trillions of dollars. So the numbers are absolutely unbelievable.
Also, I'm just wondering, small caps have led the charge on the markets the last couple of months. Is that a warning sign when small caps become super popular?
Hey, Jim, that's another natural trade. That, the studies over many decades is that typically from the middle of December into the first week in January, the small caps can outperform the big caps as represented by the S&P, for example. It's pretty consistent. My colleague Ross Clark has done stellar work on that side. And then the other part about small caps going is that that means you've got small traders in the market. And this is indeed what's happening. You've got an expanding new issue market. You've got an expanding new clients coming into the market. And, of course, to look after this, you've got an expanding number of new brokers to look after the new clients, where they're dealing with brokers rather than just a wirehouse or, a internet account. So, you can't put numbers on it because I guess I wrote about it a couple of weeks ago and mentioned as far as one is looking at it and sensing what is going on, there hasn't been anything like this since 1968, 1969, when that was a new issue market, that was new clients, and that was new brokers, and everybody went crazy. And then I did look up the number on it. So, I think that was a December 1969. I think that was a December turn of the year peak. But at any rate, take the S&P and deflate it by the consumer price index, so it's real prices for the S&P, and the decline from 1969 to it was around March or April of 1982 when that bear market bottomed, and the decline in the S&P deflated by the consumer price index was 64%. That's noticeable. So there was a great revulsion for stocks during that period, because on the other side of the equation, the hot action was in commodities, and inflation got up to 14 or 15% in the U.S. annual rate in 1980 or 81. So you have to be aware of the change in fashions. In the 1970s, the fashion was to own commodities. And then there was another rush to own commodities in 2008. There was a huge surge in commodities, but then we've been in a period of time when the fashion is to speculate in stocks and bonds, financial assets. So the inflation is in financial assets. So, but as I said, lately, because of extraordinary things going on, you've had a pretty good bid for lumber and base metals, and more recently a modest bid for crude oil. So I think, again, this is all part of a topping process that our technical work should help us with some sell signals as they come in. Of course, our subscribers will be advised on that as it comes. So, but very exciting times out there, Jim.
Bob, have a great time playing under the Christmas tree?
Now that you've helped me with the date for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, I should be able to handle the next few days quite readily, and I want to thank you for getting me sorted out.
Showing up a day late for Christmas, you wouldn't be very popular.
Anything's possible these days, Jim. So you and your wife have a good one.
We certainly will. Yep. My guest has been market historian Bob Hoye. He's the chief investment strategist for chartsandmarkets.com. If you have any questions for Bob and he loves to answer them, you can send them to info@housestreet.com. We've had so many questions this year from people like Michael and Kathleen and Willem in the Netherlands. So, or Belgium? I'm not sure now. I keep forgetting. It is Belgium, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
for Willem.
In Belgium. Yeah.
Yes, we shouldn't get them mixed up. They may be in the Low Countries, but don't mix the countries up. Just like don't mix up Ireland and Scotland or Canada and the U.S.
Yeah.
Everybody have a great holiday. I'm Jim Goddard. You can find us on Twitter @HoweStreet. We're also on Facebook, our YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network.
Comments made on HoweStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HoweStreet.com radio is a production of HoweStreet Media Incorporated.